another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks. Usual suspects, myself, Dakota, Mr. Timothy, no longer in the streets.
Doing?
He's back in his humble abode.
No, we made it inside now. We're slowly working our way up in the life rankings in the house.
Well, that's good. That's good. So we obviously have, our usual football talks, and our birds are 5-0, so life is great in Philly. But the reason life is
Yes, it
great in
is.
Philly is because we have Sixers are coming up soon. They're I think they're a week or two away from the start of the season. They're definitely looking like one of the top teams in the East.
Oh yeah,
Hopefully they can compete this year. And then the Union are like the number one team in the MLS right now. So
they
hopefully
are.
they do
So
some
hockey
damage.
season just started. So
I mean, the
the
Flyers
Flyers
are a
aren't
fucking
eliminated
train
from the
wreck,
playoffs
but
yet.
yeah,
Yeah, but
give it a
they
week.
still aren't eliminated yet. There's still hope. So
So
um,
there's those things, but there's also a baseball team named the Philadelphia Phillies, who I mean, I feel like myself and everyone else was ready to just write them off because they started off slow, then they fired Girardi, then they started getting real hot, and then August, September came around and they just shit the bed and they almost missed the playoffs. Then
yeah,
they made the playoffs. Then they swept the Cardinals 2-0 and like pretty dominantly too. The Cardinals really
oh
weren't even
yeah,
in that series.
no,
And then they come out, on Monday or Tuesday and smack the Braves. Braves didn't
yeah.
catch up until the ninth inning, and they gave us a little scare there. But I mean, who the hell is this Phillies team? I'm I'm,
I
I'm shocked. I'm pretty confident. I think, especially, I mean, there's a rain delay for Wednesday's game,
mhm.
which was weird because I was streaming it from my iPad, and I was like, why the hell is Judge Judy on? I want the Phillies game, and then I was like, oh, rain delay. But yeah, I mean, I think if they can get past, I mean, the Dodgers obviously are going to be an
Oh well,
insane
yeah,
challenge.
yeah.
But I mean, if they got Wheeler pitching this game, that I like our odds to go up 2-0, return back to Philly.
I mean, I definitely feel that way. I think the the first thing that pops in my head is I'm just shocked. I can't believe what I'm seeing, like how well this is going. And can I ask you, what is more exciting? Because now you're in the streets of Philly. I'm over here in London, so no one really cares about what's going on in Philly sports. What is more exciting right now? The Eagles 5-0 going into Dallas, or the Phillies somehow in the second round of the playoffs? Like what has got the streets going right now?
I mean, I'll tell you, you know, I think a lot's. I mean, it's Eagles obviously, but people are really hype about the Phillies, especially beating the Braves
Oh
and
yeah.
the first game. I think what's going to happen is if we go into, I mean, I don't know if the schedule offhand, but if it's like either, well, I'm trying to think. So the game with Philly is supposed to be Friday. We'll see what happens with this rain delay. If they have to postpone stuff, that would be
I
game
really hope not.
three. So theoretically, I mean, the Phillies and Braves can still be playing by Monday. I think if the Eagles beat, because I mean, you got the Phillies in the second round of the playoffs, and you got Eagles versus Cowboys. In my opinion, this might be the most hyped game of the year so far because you got two
Very
of the
true.
best, arguably two of the best teams, which I hate to say about the Cowboys, but that defense is terrifying.
That is true.
Michael Parsons is probably be MVP right now. He's not even in
Yeah.
conversation, but he should be.
I mean,
Um,
they are what 4-1 with a backup quarterback, and I think I
yeah,
mean we talked about this a lot before we came on. I'm like disgusted by myself because I was kind of defending the Cowboys, but you mentioned they haven't even scored 24 points yet. Like I think that's even more impressive. Like we know we have a backup quarterback, but like they just keep winning. They don't need to score. They're just amazing. It'll be a good test because I think our offenses look good. I'm excited to see what because now the Cowboys look like they're legit. I think in the beginning we weren't sure, but it's definitely going to be an exciting game. One I think is going to be our biggest test for sure.
I mean, I think their offense still has a lot to be. I mean, let's not forget when they played the Bucks, like they looked like crap. I mean,
It's
even
true.
when Prescott was healthy, their offense looked bad. Now they started to run the ball a little more. Pollard and Zeke are a really good 1-2 punch. Um, but I'm still not. I think this game is going to tell us a lot about both teams because I think one of two things are going to happen. I think either the Eagles come out, they expose Cooper Rush for being who he is,
Which
and
they
they play
should.
really well. They're able to get some points on that defense. Because we're averaging what, like 28 points per game. and like,
Right around there, yeah.
so we're gonna put up points, and I think they're gonna disguise a lot of things and get Parsons to the opposite side of the field where they want to be going. Um, but I think it's a great test to see where our offense is at, where our defense is at. Because if Cooper Rush carves up our defense, I'm gonna have a lot of questions. But if
Yeah.
we come out and dominate, and at least if we win by like a touchdown or two, and it's pretty handily at the end of the game, I'll be pretty happy. If Cooper
Yeah.
Rush is if Cooper Rush is keeping them in the game, I'll be concerned. But if it's the Dallas defense is making plays and Jalen's struggling, then we'll see what happens. But I'll definitely have some concerns if we lose, no matter the reason for that. They should win the game because I don't see Dak
Yeah.
Prescott playing.
I mean, my biggest issue, I think the biggest weakness that I've seen, especially after this last game, because now it's a trend. They fall apart in the second half. Not even fall apart because they don't make mistakes. They just falter. Like they don't do anything. Yeah, they're just like they just kind of control the ball. They don't really do much on offense. Their defense sometimes gets lackadaisical. And it's like, the first couple of weeks against the Vikings, the Commanders, like those games were done by halftime. So I don't think it was really that big of an issue. But now it's like the consistent trend, and you almost lost that Cardinals game because you kind of just took the second half off, like you have every single week. I mean, listen, they're 5-0. This wasn't the prettiest game, but good teams find a way to win games, and that's the most important. I feel like we're a broken record. Jalen Hurts is just continuously oppressing me. There was a point when I just saw him scrambling out of the pockets and just throwing lasers on the run, accurate. And it was some of the finest quarterback play I've seen in Philadelphia in quite some time. Like I was shocked to see how good. If you just showed me those highlights preseason, I would think they were fake. Like he just looks so comfortable, so poised, eyes downfield, slinging it. Like the balls he was throwing were beautiful. Yep. There was definitely a lot of praises. I scored the 2 touchdowns on the goal line rushes. I got to say, the quarterback dive with a quarterback that squats 600 pounds and one of the greatest centers all time might be the best play the Eagles have going for them right now.
Well, it reminds me a lot of when like vintage Patriots, like they'd have 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and they just line Tom Brady up and just push him because he's so tall and But with Jalen, he's just, like you said, that 600-pound squat thighs he's got.
You see it too. Oh, you see it too. He pushes his way through that pile. It's great.
Well, that's like the best compliment about him is that he's a quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. He's a running back past the line of scrimmage because he is. You got to man tackle him. He's a big boy.
Yeah. Oh no, he's looked great. Now, the defense played well, I thought, as well. Reddick made some plays. CJ Gardner-Johnson, a nice pick.
It was a similar thing where, like, again, they were fine, and then the fourth quarter. The problem is a lot of these teams we're playing, they get desperate, right? And I would argue that we've played good competition. Washington's kind of a mess right now, but we've destroyed them. I think Detroit is up and down. I think the Vikings are apparently for real, and we smacked them.
That's true.
And then Cardinals are obviously going to be a playoff contender. They just need to get a little more healthy and get DeAndre back. But
I think this was probably our ugliest game, but you still won.
Oh, for sure.
Like this, but it doesn't really matter.
But they still won.
I know some people, especially in Philly, talk radio, like they will lose their minds even after wins, depending on what. I always think back to that Panthers game last year. I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before. They won that game, and like Darnold was horrific, and it was just such an ugly game, and they somehow pulled it out. And I know when we talked on the podcast, it's like, listen, it was so painful. That was the ugliest game I've seen in a while, but you found a way to win the game, and I think that's what matters. But I remember listening to the radio, and people are losing their mind. Like, Sirianni can't coach. This team sucks. There's so many problems. Like, just miserable overall win. No. So, there were issues that I saw in this game, but they won. And good teams find a way to win, as cheesy as it is. And if I could take this moment to just appreciate that sequence, I was riding on a wave of emotions. When the Cardinals had the last ball, I was a shitting brick thinking, damn it, they're going to score. This doesn't look good. I don't like this momentum swing. And then their $250 million guaranteed quarterback or whatever, I guess didn't know where the yard marker was or didn't know the rules of football, slides and gets 3rd and 1 and then spikes the ball immediately. Once you saw that, you're like, there's absolutely no way this guy's making this kick. And then they're showing the replays of him missing this exact kick in the warmups. And now I'm just like laughing because Kyler Murray, who gets all these short jokes, is just come up a little short. And then he's so oblivious, who also, like, look at the jokes around Kyler Murray. He's being too short. And then the fact that he never pays attention. And he wasn't paying attention, spiked the ball when they absolutely didn't need him to do that. And then this bum, I gotta say, Mr. New haircut, 2 chains. I was like, what? This kicker's got too much swag on. Like, you're a kicker, dude. You can't be wearing all this. Comes out and just, you knew once he came out, he was missing that kick. And it was just so beautiful to see. And I say this about as well. Look at the 2 differences. Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal, very team first guy, say, we're going to work hard, we're going to do this, wins games, looks great, poised, controls the clock, does his thing. Because that last drive where they killed the clock was impressive. That was good.
It was almost 8 minutes. It was insane.
Yeah, and they did that last game too. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah.
And then you compare him to a guy like Kyler Murray, who just came in, #1 pick, hasn't really improved. He's kind of the same quarterback he was before, forced his team's hand into giving him a contract that was like 2 years earlier than he should have deserved it. And just comes up with boneheaded plays. Like, it's just, I was like, that game just really made me think, like, I love where we're at. I love this quarterback. He looks so good. I'm so happy we don't have like Kyler Murray, who's just a jerk, loves COD, and forced his team to pay him a whole bunch of money when coming off a season that was just you can't describe that season as anything but a complete disappointment. Went 8-0 and then faltered in the playoffs. And then this guy got a $200 million contract. Outrageous.
Yeah. This game is very important because you got to imagine going into the bye week 6-0 off beating Dallas at home. It's a must win.
I'll tell you this.
I know
Super Bowl.
we can afford to lose a game, but it can't be this one. Like, they need to come out, show that they are the obviously better team, and dominate a backup quarterback. Like, it shouldn't be a close game. I don't care how good Dallas' defense is. They need to come out and show out. And you know what the problem is with the Cardinals game? They were I felt like they were very safe with their play calling. There was a lot of like short passes, a lot of like almost screens, a lot of like outs. Like, Dallas Goedert caught the same route like 6 times. I'm hoping that the game plan for this is a lot better. I hope they run the ball more. I mean, Miles Sanders only had like 60 rushing yards. You know, you got to get him going more. And they waited until the second half to start running. So it'll be interesting because I've noticed they try to take the obvious faults against the defense. So like, Cardinals are not a great defense, so they're like, oh, we can probably get some quick passes out, get a lot of run after the catch. But Cardinals, credit to their defense, they were tackling, whereas the Eagles defense was missing a ton. Like, Edwards missed a bunch of tackles because you're white. Was missing tackles. Epps was missing tackles. So it was a bad tackling game for the Birds. But I expect them to come out, and if they get smacked, I'll be really concerned. But it should be a close game in the beginning.
Yeah, I can't imagine you're going to get smacked going against Cooper Rush.
The way that the season's gone, we've learned something new about them every week. I'm hoping this week we'll learn that they can pull away in the third and fourth quarter. That's what I want to see. Because we've come back, we've dealt with, being down, we've dealt with fending off teams, letting them come back and then stopping them. But let's put a team out. Like, let's go into, halftime, maybe a 3-point lead or a tie game. Come out third quarter, fourth quarter, shut them down and keep scoring. Like, they need to be consistent through all 4 quarters, and that's something they need to work on. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm hyped. This is the most excited I've been for an Eagles game in a while, I think. And I'm not excited to watch every game, but this has so much riding on it. So, but
I mean, you're definitely right about the riding, because, like, if you think
Sunday
about
night, week game before a bye, home field, division rival, if you lose, you're in second place.
Oh yeah, no. If you win, I know they've been number 1 on our power rankings. If they win this game against Dallas, they have to be the Super Bowl favorites. I mean, I'm talking Super Bowl from now on for the rest of the year if they win this game. But if they lose, you're right. If they lose, now everyone's going to be, all that momentum you had for your team is going to go to Dallas. They're going to be like, listen, this team's 5-1 with a backup quarterback. The only game they lost was the game that Dak played in. This defense is unreal. They just knocked off the only undefeated team in football. Like, the Cowboys are going to win this division. Like, it has a lot riding on it. I feel like it's kind of getting swept up. Not that, I mean, obviously it's a big game Sunday night, Dallas, but this is a big game in like momentum, carrying you through the rest of the season, and really statement win. You know, if you beat them, you beat them. The Vikings, the Cardinals, who aren't a bad team, you smack down the bad teams that you did play. This show proves a lot about your team, so it's going to be exciting. I'm very, very giddy, and it's weird right now because like I remember going back to the Phillies. I remember when the Phillies were really good, 08, 09. Like those years, I was like, the Eagles would be week 5, and like I wouldn't even care. I mean, of course I care, but it's like I'll see you in a month or two. Let me see what happens with the Phillies, and we'll meet up then. But it's it's such a nice mixture of like they're both so incredibly good right now. Like I just feel like I'm gonna have to sacrifice sleep because I don't have enough time to just devote to both of them. Like I can't take it out of my Eagles time because I'm just gonna stop sleeping and stop eating because I need more time in my day to appreciate the Phillies and the Eagles.
Well, you should probably eat, but you can eat and watch. I would hope so.
That's true, yeah. But I will. One thing I'm going to complain about baseball. I don't know. You don't deal with this crisis that I have to live. I have to deal with living overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner, obviously, in sports. We all know that. That's very obvious. But he keeps doing stupid stuff all the time. I have the MLB app. I watch the MLB when I'm over in the. That's how I watch my games. I stream. I do my thing. I'm a good sports fan internationally.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We got noticed like I think 3.5 hours before the game started that the playoff games will be blacked out on the app internationally for the whole year. Mm-hmm. So I was like thinking like you have diehard fans who live internationally, or you're trying to expand your game, like every other sports league is on this planet. And the MLB app is the only way that international fans watch the MLB. And you just like at the last moment in the playoffs when everyone's watching, you're like, oh, okay, all of our diehard fans and the people in the international markets that we want to expand to, oh, this is how they watch their game. Perfect. Let's just take it away from all of them. That is exactly how we're going to run this league. So it's needless to say, it's not easy. I now have to listen to the playoff games on the radio, which, I appreciate the home calls, but it does hurt me. I couldn't, watch the game. I had to go YouTube highlight the Castellanos catch, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
So it is a bummer, but that's my little gripe because I just can't believe how poorly the MLB just runs their sport. Like the Eagles, I mean, the NFL, they send the worst teams in the NFL to play in London, and people get giddy. They sell out that stadium every single time. Baseball just doesn't even make it possible for their international fans to watch playoff baseball. And when the Phillies are as good as they are, kind of a problem. I'm having a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, I even have issues with the fact that it's 1:00 games and I'm at work and I have to.
Oh no, I love that. That's great. Don't take that away. That is great.
Well, I also have to listen on the radio though, so I feel your pain.
It makes me happy.
Yeah,
I do like the time difference makes it a little better. They had a night game, which I wasn't too fan of, but listen, man, if they keep this up, I'll stay up until 4:00 in the morning to watch the game from now on. Even more impressive, they won that game 1 on like jumping on the team early, which they rarely do, and an incredible, fielding play, which they've been atrocious in the field for the last couple of years. But even more impressive, they did it without using Wheeler and Nola, who looked dominant in the Cardinals series. Both of them did.
Ooh.
And they managed to pull a win. Oh, it's so nice.
You could tell, like, when you watch the game, you could just see the energy coming off of Nola. Like, he's so focused. I didn't see any, like, expressions on his face. Like, he struck out, like, the one inning, he struck 3 out in a row or something, or got, like, really quick inning. And he just walks off the mound, stone face, like, not over happy, not, like, just
business, baby.
No expression. He was focused. I was like, this is what we need. So I'm pretty excited.
It kind of reminds me of when Holiday got in the playoffs finally, because I mean he spent his whole entire Hall of Fame career outside the playoffs, never been there. Yeah. First time the guy plays in the playoffs and he throws a freaking perfect game or whatever it was. Like Nola's got a similar situation, not as long of a career, but like he's been
like
waiting
9 years,
for this moment. Yeah, he's been waiting for this moment the whole time. He's not wasting it. Like crazy. He looked great, and starting pitching matters in the playoffs, man. Let those dogs ride out. If they can go seven innings, 8 innings maybe. Like that's gonna be tough 2 games for any team to beat you on. And the best thing is you won that game 1 without any of your aces, and you beat up on the Braves ace. Like that is a momentum shot right there. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Smack him in the mouth first.
Good time to be a Philly sports fan for sure.
It's beautiful. So. It's so nice. My life is so much better now. I'm just constantly happy and joyous.
Yeah. But yeah. So touch on the Phillies, Eagles. Let's get around the league, see what else was going on. We had a probably top 10 most miserable games I've ever
Oh, that was
almost
awful.
watched. I watched for a couple minutes and then I just didn't care. The last Thursday game, we had the Colts beat the Broncos 12-9 in overtime.
There's not enough beer on this planet that would have
Not a
made that
baseball
game
score.
fun.
That was football
Yeah.
score.
That was so painful to watch. I hated every second of it.
Russ, he can't even cook
He
because he doesn't know
stinks.
where the kitchen is.
Yeah.
So, um, you got some pretty good games over in from London. We had the Giants beat the Packers 27-22. The Giants are got to be the most surprising team so far this year. I mean, besides the Eagles, but I think we thought the Eagles would be good. I think the Giants, like, they're just doing
Yeah. The Giants are
doing
more
everything
a
right.
bigger surprise. Like
It's
they're
weird.
4-1, and you kind of expect them to stink. The Eagles we thought would be good, not this good, but we thought they'd be
Yeah.
good. I mean, Dable's coach of the year. I would say
Oh,
right now he
yeah.
has to
Dable's
be.
doing I mean, as an Eagles fan, I can admit Dable's doing a phenomenal job with that team. Like,
Uh,
you're getting Daniel
um,
Jones to play well and just riding Saquon, who's comeback player of the year right now.
it's true.
Easy. Easy.
It's the Packers though. On the other side of that, obviously, there's always both sides of a game. There's joy and happiness, and then there's sadness and despair.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen Aaron Rodgers miss so many deep balls in a game. He looked horrific throwing the deep ball, which he's basically made his career and like whatever 4 MVPs or whatever it is on. The guy could not hit anything down the field. And for whatever reason, they were insistent on just throwing it deep, and he was nowhere near it any moment.
Yeah, they really need to go get like an OBJ or something to help get some better. I mean, Randall Cobb is not the old Randall Cobb, and these young receivers aren't really making plays. Granted, like you said, Rodgers isn't looking good either, but
Listen, I didn't
um,
know OBJ was going to catch some of those deep balls. He was so inaccurate. It was the most inaccurate I've seen in a game. Like that's his bread and butter. That's why he's so good. He looked horrible.
I mean, he lost his buddy Devontae, who went to the Raiders and shoving cameramen to the floor instead. So
Listen, I'm on Team Devontae. He got cited for whatever assault or whatever. The guy had it coming. Like he definitely ran right in front of Devontae Adams. Like
he's trying to do
he
his
definitely had
job.
it coming.
Devontae's just walking. He could have stopped. I mean,
He could have, but like, why are you running in front of a dude? Like you're in the tunnel. It's like equated to you're running in front of someone in front of a doorway. Like why
mm,
would you be like why would you do that? Like that is just dumb on his part. Have some awareness. Do you not see
right.
Devontae Adams coming off the field? You're paid as a photographer to be aware of what's going on, and you're so unaware you didn't see the guy 2 feet in front of you running.
Mm, yeah,
I'm on team throw him to the ground. I'm glad he fell. I'm glad he pushed him. I like to see that. I like to see some aggression. I like to see some anger. I scream at my TV and my whole day's ruined whenever the Eagles lose. I want to see a star player go out there when they lose a heartbreaker and push someone on the ground. That's what I want to see. I want to see some devotion.
fair enough. So continuing on, we had the Patriots just came out and shut out the Lions 29-0. Did not see that going, especially with that rookie quarterback.
I
Patriots are
mean,
always that weird team that can beat anybody, but they're just not very good right now. Um,
to be fair, when we did picks, I did mention that the Lions have literally the worst defense and that the NFL has ever seen, that even a third round quarterback or a third string quarterback would put up some points. And look what happened. It's atrocious what is going on in that defense. I don't know how that defense coordinator still has a job.
yeah, it's a little rough for our Lions, not our Lions, but America's Lions. Next game we had a couple close games here. Chargers hold on to beat the Browns 30-28. I think it was a missed field goal at the end by the Cleveland.
Mm.
But yeah, Nick Chubb continues to be a beast, and I mean, Chargers that they still don't look at the level they should be, but they're winning their games. So
They're really hurt. Bosa's out,
they
Allen's
are,
out.
yeah.
It's a lot to go through right now for them.
Texans ended the winless teams for the year drought. So every team in the NFL's got to win. Beat the Jags 13-6. The Jaguars just came out flat. They couldn't really do much. And the running back Pierce from the Texans is now, I think, fifth in rushing. So hopefully his talent doesn't get wasted. Hopefully Houston puts some of their pieces together here. And I mean, maybe Davis Mills is the guy. I mean, he's looking decent, so we'll see how that develops. But another game we had, Buccaneers hold off the Falcons 21-15. Falcons almost came back. I was watching a bit of that game.
The
Pretty
worst roughing the passer call of
controversial,
all time. Yeah.
pretty controversial call though. With if you hadn't seen it, it was I think it was third down, and Grady Jarrett, one of our top D tackles in our yearly rankings, sacked Tom Brady cleanly, as you do as a defender, and they got called for, I guess, not roughing the passer, but like
Unnecessary roughness.
unnecessary roughness, yeah, which
Yeah.
is just a joke. And
It's
that
just like,
the Buccaneers would have punted or kicked a field goal, and the Falcons could have gotten the ball back, but that ended up ending the game because they got a first down out of it. So you hate
but
to see that, but
this is the NFL in a nutshell. They just they react in the wrong ways. They're quick to react in the wrong ways. Like that toss down on Brady or tackle. I don't know what else you want to call it besides just a tackle. Was very similar to the Tua tackle where he was throwing the second concussion. And it's just like you kind of feel like they probably put a weekly little memo out like, hey, if this play happens, you have to throw a flag. We don't want it to happen anymore. We get a lot of heat about Tua. But they'll start calling flags on those plays, but they won't change the concussion protocol. Cameron Brate went in the game after he got concussion shortly after the 2-1. It's just like they changed the wrong things. They just, oh, yeah. Anyone that gets tossed down like this, flag them immediately. But, if they have a concussion, just get them back out there because we want the players out on the field.
Yeah, it'll always be controversy, but it's just a bad call. Steelers continue to look like they're finally going to have it'll be the first losing season in Mike Tomlin's coaching career.
Yeah, they look terrible.
Bills just stomped the yard, 38-3 on them. It was not close. I mean, Josh Allen had 400 yards by halftime or midway through the third quarter. It was nuts.
Yeah, it looked that was a good team, a really good team versus a terrible team. That's
I
what
thought
that game was.
I thought maybe the Steelers, they were embarrassed last week. They'll come out, play some good defense. I was like, I'll take Gabriel Davis out and I'll put in oh man, who did I sub in? I'm trying to remember now. I think it was Michael Pittman or somebody else.
I don't know why you would have gone with that.
And I was like, Gabe Davis, still a little injured, whatever. Comes out, second, third play of the game, 90-some yard touchdown. I was like, here we fucking go. 5 minutes after I subbed him out. So
yeah,
I ended up losing. I lost that game. I lost by 6. So I definitely could have used his 30 points.
yeah, you live in your life.
That sucks. But the Jets, Zach Wilson continued to roll here, 40-17 over the Dolphins. I mean, they didn't have Tua. They lost Bridgewater. So I don't even know who was playing quarterback.
Hey, listen, the defense was out there, and they let up 40 points.
Sauce Gardner, man.
Looks good.
Probably defensive rookie of the year so far.
Yeah, no, he's definitely playing really well. I mean, we talked about the Jets before we started this. Don't want to spoil anything. They didn't make our power rankings, even though I was pushing for it. I think
too soon.
Surprisingly, I mean, they're 3-2. Surprisingly, they're putting together. You got to look at this team as post and pre Zach Wilson because he's changed. Joe Flacco looked good, but Zach Wilson's giving this team some guts.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna push. They're not gonna be a playoff contender come December. So I don't.
We'll see. That AFC's wide open. I mean, you got the Chiefs, you got the Bills, and then it's a crapshoot after that. To be honest with you,
I suppose. Running through some of these other games that weren't as good, or it's not as important. Vikings improved to 4-1 now. They beat the Bears 29-22. Justin Fields looks really bad.
Bears look really bad.
Yeah, I think last week we talked about it. Because we have Titans Commanders. They also played. Titans won 21. Carson Wentz threw an interception on the goal line, and they lost the game. So we love to see that. But
Ron Rivera come out and completely throw him under the bus. It's just.
Yeah, that was a little uncalled for, but
I mean, the game losing interception was kind of uncalled for too. It's just that is just a Wentz play. Only he makes that play.
I feel like it was a bad play call. They should have called something bad, some kind of option or I know they didn't have any timeouts, but you can't just have them just sitting there with a 4-yard line, 5-yard line. I don't know.
Listen, he looked like he was trying to throw an interception the 2 plays before that, though. I mean, Carson Wentz for you.
Titans crawled another win. We had Saints ended up beating the Seahawks 39-32. Andy Dalton continues to it was Taysom Hill show
I was
But
to say, what the hell did he do? Look at forget the Saints. Again, the Seahawks still proving that they're a legit offense.
I
I
don't get
know.
it.
Last
I
week
don't fucking get it.
I said Geno Smith's not going to keep this up. I mean, I might be changing my mind. It looks like pretty. He keeps doing it.
That doesn't make any sense. I've never seen any maybe Kurt Warner in his second act in the NFL when he went to the Cardinals, but I don't remember the last time seeing a quarterback in his 11th
Put it all
season go
together.
to another team and actually play well. Like, it's nuts. Anyways, yeah. 49ers manhandled the Panthers. Matt Rule was fired the next day. So he's
Yeah,
going to be
that's
comfy sitting on his couch with a boatload of cash. But
no.
I am hearing Brian Burns might get moved. Eagles are apparently pretty interested. So that would be I mean, they'd have to give up a pretty good fortune for him, but I'm probably worth it.
So real quick, since we're on this topic, fire sale. Hit me with a yes or no. Now that we assume that the Panthers are trading, they fired the coach and probably going to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
These three players, are they gone? Do they get traded before the deadline? Christian McCaffrey.
No.
DJ Moore.
No.
Brian Burns.
Yes.
And top three contenders for him?
That's a good question. I haven't done my research. I mean, Eagles.
There's no way Eagles again. No, there's no way.
Yeah, you don't know. We got some capital. Trying to think. I mean, Ravens could probably use some help on defense.
Ravens could definitely use them. Yeah, I think that'd be a good move for them.
And I mean, Packers defense is struggling. They should be a lot better than they are. They're pretty set at linebacker. I mean, I don't know. That's tough. But yeah, I think Eagles should try out for trying to grab him. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to get like contenders that I mean, Chiefs could always use defense. So
Chiefs could use a little extra pass rush. Yeah, and I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Moving on after the Panthers taking that L, which you were definitely pretty good on your preseason prediction of them being a playoff contender. So congrats.
Yeah, I think sometimes we miss ones every once in a while. It's a shame. I really thought they'd be doing better, but they are a train wreck.
Yeah, Baker. I think Baker's the end of his starting career. I think he's going to start floating around as a backup now, kind of like the Andy Dalton.
Yeah. To be fair though, I gotta not to give Rule and I mean Rule's gonna live a good life, get paid $40 million to do absolutely nothing now, but he kind of, you gave him just a hodgepodge of different quarterback busts. They fired their offensive coordinator last year, like in the first season.
Way too early.
Yeah, I think they're getting a little too trigger happy with this. I remember when Tepper took over as the owner and he was like, oh, no, this is going to take some time. We're going to have to do it right. I'm fully committed. Hell, even before this season started, he was like, I'm fully committed to Matt, really excited. And it's like, but it doesn't seem like it. You fired an offensive coordinator the first year. Now Rule's gone. You switch quarterbacks every other season. I just don't understand what you think Matt Rule's going to do with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. There's a reason those quarterbacks were available after they were drafted in the top three. It's because these other teams that had them knew that they stunk.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just a tough call. I mean, it's not like that roster is very good. They got some good players now. They're building it up. But what are you going to do when you have Baker and Darnold?
Fair point. Moving on, we had obviously the Eagles beat the Cardinals 20-17. We already touched on that game. Go Birds. Cowboys, again, surprising everyone, beat the Rams 22-10. I mean, the Rams, their line is bad. Like, Stafford's got not a lot of time to throw. Their running game is non-existent. Allen Robinson is apparently wearing his Halloween costume of being a ghost because no one can find him.
Oh, look at you. That was good. That was a good little dig. I liked it.
I mean, Cooper Kupp is the only source of offense. And their defense is struggling. So,
fire question again. Do we panic about the Rams now, or do we still think that they'll figure it out? They're too good.
They're too good. They'll figure it out. We're 5 games in. It's a concern, but they're 2-3, so they got time.
I think so. Yeah.
The 2 primetime games were the 2 games I was pulling my hair out because I was so sure that my game picks were going to fall correctly, and they did not.
They really do.
Well, I mean, a couple of these games I was pretty only a couple points off of getting right, but Bengals
Yeah,
were
but
Bengals had a nice lead on the Ravens, and then they couldn't hold on. It was a good game though. Ravens won 19-17, and then I felt so good about the Raiders winning that game, and then they just decided to shoot themselves in the foot twice.
yeah,
Chiefs won 30-29 because the Raiders are stupid and went for two instead of
that
just
was
kicking the
dumb.
extra point and tying the game.
Yeah,
I
that was dumb.
understand like what they were thinking, but if you really think about it, it makes zero sense to do that. Like their thought process was go up by one, pray that their defense can stop Kansas City before time runs out, right? But if you miss, you're still giving Kansas City the ball back, and you're gonna have to stop them anyways. So why wouldn't you just take the points? Like that
That
didn't make
was yeah,
any sense to me.
that was so dumb. Like you see it a lot now with the Chiefs and it's like the Mahomes fact. It's like, you have to be super aggressive or overly aggressive because Mahomes can just go down there and score. But sometimes you're just overly aggressive for dumb reasons. Like
There was still like 3 minutes left. It was so
no,
unnecessary.
you are 100% right. I didn't understand that at all. It made no sense at all. There literally was not. There was like just no upside. You're gonna be up by 1 point. They can just kick a field goal and you lose anyway. Like it just didn't make any
Yeah,
sense to me.
yeah, I don't understand
It's
that.
just
But
the Mahomes effect. Like, oh yeah, he's gonna score anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Our defense can't stop. Blah, blah, blah. It's like it doesn't matter. You lose. Like I don't get it.
and then they did get a stop, got the ball back, and on their last play, they had Hunter Renfro and Devontae Adams run into each other on the. I was like, that's the most Raiders way to lose a game. And then
See,
Devontae
I was just
storming
saying.
off the field, slamming his helmet, pushing cameramen. It was a
But to be
mess.
fair, like after a play like that, can't you understand Devontae's frustration? I'm all team Devontae on
Yeah, but
this.
you
The
don't take it out
guy,
on a pedestrian.
listen, he didn't
Like,
punch him in
come
the
on.
face. He's just like, move, get out of my way.
He's wearing heavy equipment. He just shoved them.
Oh, stop! Just shut. Get
Oh
over
man.
it. What? There kids on the playground shove him over all the time. That guy's got to be a grown up. You know what? I hate people that just just chase the lawsuit and the money. Like it's like the same thing with the protest when Bobby Wagner laid him out, and they're like, "Oh, he's filing police reports." From what? Grow up. And then this
Well,
guy like,
first of
"Oh,
all,
I got pushed over and I tumbled and I hit my head and I sprained myself." The guy was in front of Devontae. He deserved it.
I
He
wouldn't say
totally deserved
deserved
it.
it. I
He
mean,
absolutely
there's
deserved
a
it.
you as someone who works in the sports industry or worked in the sports industry, whatever you want to call it, like that cameraman's not making a ton of money. Devontae Adams is
So,
making a ton of money. There needs to be a little bit of respect there. You can't just be shoved. What if he just shoved Devontae Adams? Would that be okay? If
I
Devontae
mean,
Adams
what?
walked in front of him?
Well, what's the prep? Like,
No, he
what's
would have gotten
the
fired.
situation? Well, what's the situation? Devontae
Uh,
Adams is walking off the field to the tunnel. Like I said, it's like the guy walked in front of him in a doorway. Like the guy, he's going somewhere. Like he's
You
leaving.
act like the tunnel is like this big. It's a big. You could fit like three people in that tunnel, four people side by side.
I just think that, like, why are you running in front of a guy who's clearly going? It's not like Devontae was like, oh, I didn't know he was going this way. Like, of course he's going this way. That's where the tunnel is. It's just
This is
be aware. He's oblivious. He
sure.
pushed
Yes,
him
you should
over.
have been
Get
more
over
aware,
it.
but Devontae had no reason to shove him to the ground. That was just uncalled for. You just say,
I,
just say, what the hell, man? Excuse me, something like that. You don't fucking push him.
I'm on Team Devontae. He was pissed off. I encourage this. I like to see athletes invested because I listen. I sometimes when the Eagles lose a game, I'll push someone over. Like, I'm furious. If I ran into someone to end the game, I'd be even more furious. So, listen, it's good to see that emotion. I'm happy to see the emotion. Yeah, sometimes these players just get like too chummy. They go do the jersey exchange and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're friends." After we just went at it and we're running into each other and giving each other concussions for an hour, and then they forget about it, like, "Oh yeah, how's your kids? Blah blah blah. Here's my jersey. Let's sign it. Oh, all this good stuff. Get the fuck out of here. No, be mad. I want everyone angry. The fact, like, this is what you should do.
All
And
right,
then the
next
guy
time
filed a
someone,
police report. You're fucking out of here. You got
next
pushed
time
over.
someone, next time somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm just gonna T-bone them. According to Tim, that's what you do. You choose violence.
Completely different. You're now in a car. That's completely different.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Moving
you
on.
walking
Move
off the
on.
field, getting pushed
Move
to the
on.
grass, or T-boning someone at
All
60
right.
miles per hour.
You're fuming. You're
Don't.
fuming. You're fuming with negativity. Let's go right into the duds for me.
I can already see 10-car pileup on the 995 when you come back from
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
And
yeah.
officer, it wasn't me. It was my friend. He told me this was allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's get right into it. Are you still in a good mood? Are we sticking with the good vibes? Everything. I mean, the Phillies are in the playoffs. The Eagles are awesome. I think we kind of have to stick with the good vibes, right?
No, I just said you're in this negativity mode with, pushing and shoving people. I said go right into the duds.
Oh, okay. Oh, you want to embrace the hate. You want the hate
Embrace
to
the
take
hate.
over.
Embrace the
Okay.
hate.
Fair
Put
enough.
that
Fair
on a
enough.
shirt.
Okay. No, fair enough. Alrighty. So let's start off the cracking our dud list. So I'm just going to send you another reminder, as you know, I obviously every week am doing my dirty work, and you never know who's going to make this studded duds list. This isn't just the big names and the headlines and all that. I got to do the gritty, the nasty work.
Mm.
So we're going to take a guy who, I mean, you could be. I don't think anyone sits on a hotter seat than maybe Lucifer himself. This guy is. There's calls for not only his job but maybe his head. And what is like historically and just astonishingly one of the worst performances I've ever seen. His team has now allowed 38 points, 27, 28, 48, and 29. And the other weeks were pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. There were some really bad ones in there. But you gave up 29 points to a third string quarterback, and hardly with a team that was, a juggernaut going into this. So Aaron Glenn, who has to take full responsibility for this putrid defense, is my first dud. They obviously the defense coordinator for Detroit. People are calling for Dan Campbell's job. I have to think that Glenn gets fired before Dan Campbell. I don't know much about Aaron Glenn, to be honest. He played in the NFL, but I know that his defense is the worst defense I think we've ever seen. If it was a bad defense, they'd be like 3-2, but it's not a bad defense. It's much worse. So Aaron Glenn, we're going with him, cracking off third dud spot. Moving on, we have someone that isn't unheard of. This one, you could say maybe I cheated a little bit because it was a national TV game, huge name guy, big contract, new team, one of easily the worst football games I've seen in quite some time. And the fact that it was on national TV was just even more embarrassing. A guy who got traded for pretty much every draft pick for the next 20 years and a couple other players and was giving like what, $300 million or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
The contract he has single-handedly should mean that he is a player that's capable of scoring a touchdown every single game, which he did not do this week. And he hasn't done much at all this whole season. So after going 21 of 39, 274 yards, 0 touchdowns, as I said, and 2 interceptions. Throwing 4 sacks there. I mean, his offensive line's not great, but 0 awareness. We're going to go with Mr. Russell Wilson.
Oof.
I think at this point,
Wilson.
If he keeps putting up games like this, we're just going to refer to him as Sierra's husband because he's going to just be in the backseat now. He's truly, I mean, like franchise quarterbacks should be talented enough to like win games, score touchdowns, and he's not doing that. It's just really ugly on that offense.
That reminds me of when I can't remember what it was for, but they introduced Julie Ertz as like wife of Zach Ertz. I was like, no. She is a USA soccer like star. Like, give her some respect. Don't just say she's the husband of a football player. Like, so.
Well, Russell Wilson is no longer Russell.
But
Wilson.
yeah, Russell Wilson might just be the wife or the husband of
Can I throw this other tidbit out? The Broncos have 2 wins. In those 2 wins, they scored 11 points and 16 points. Those were the wins. Those are the games they won. They scored 27 points combined in 2 games. In the 2 games they won.
Didn't I have it too much?
Just putrid.
Didn't I have it too much whiz earlier about if Hackett's going to get fired or not? And you said it was too much.
No, you can't fire Hackett. I think Wilson's more the problem than Hackett is.
You can't fire Wilson.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you can't fire Hackett. He's in his first season. That would just be
but
miserable.
This was, I mean, as you know, I mean, okay, I don't think it's as bad as your Panthers pick, but I did pick the Broncos to go to the Super Bowl. So,
I picked the Panthers to go to the playoffs, not the Super Bowl.
That's the same thing. You never know what happens when you get to
I
the
don't think
playoffs.
so. I really don't think they're the same thing at all, to be fair. The Panthers are 1-4. They're one win behind the Broncos.
Yeah, but they already fired the coach, so
Fair enough. Well,
that's
hey,
one
let's roll
sign.
right into it because Mr. Transition here. We're going to go right into the number one dud. And
Okay.
you know what? I think this one's going to catch you by surprise because obviously my rules when it comes to duds. Usually, if you lose your job, you're guaranteed a spot on the dud list.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Matt Rule's going to get $40 million to sit on his couch and do absolutely nothing. And it made me pretty jealous. And I was like, how could I call this man a dud? He's set up pretty nicely, to be honest with you. And he's probably going to go back to the college ranks. Do you see what these college coaches are making? Like, you could be talking about Matt Rule's going to be collecting checks for like goddamn $30 million a year between whatever job he gets next and the money that Tepper still owes him for the Panthers. But let's not talk about Matt Rule, who lost his job and now has a beautiful life ahead of him. Let's talk about the man that is very responsible for the fact that Matt Rule lost his job. And quite frankly, he hasn't been fired, but now that he got hurt, I think he lost his job too. I'd be shocked to find Baker getting a job when he comes back healthy. So after going 20-36, 215, 0 tutties, and an interception, we have Mr. Baker Mayfield, who is our number one dud over Matt Rule because I think Baker Mayfield has a lot more to do with Matt Rule being fired than Matt Rule had in him being fired. The guy has been horrendous. He's been, I mean, even had his worst in Cleveland when, Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad was posting videos of how terrible he was. He's surpassed that by far. And he's out for a couple of weeks on his ankle. There's no way he's getting this starting job when he comes back. Steve Wilkes, the guy taking over the Panthers, like, oh, no, you got the other guy fired. There's no fucking way you're touching this field again. So my number one dud is Baker Mayfield, who just got his coach fired.
All right.
So moving on to the good stuff. Let's roll right into this. Now, can I take a moment real fast? I know no one cares about my fantasy team. No one cares about your fantasy team.
Your fantasy team sucks.
Okay, relax. Like I said, no one cares. But let's just take a moment. Let's just
score like 48 points.
Okay, again, relax. That actually wasn't the most painful loss this week.
Oh, no. So how is that possible?
Let's talk about the painful one, because let me remind you, fantasy football is a horrible mistress. It brings you joy every once in a while, but most of the time it's just pain and sorrow.
I will cut you off and say that is so true because I was handedly winning my one league and I had Pat Mahomes at quarterback and I was like, I don't need him to do a lot because I'm already going to win. But I was playing against Pat Mahomes in another league and he ended up beating me. So I was like, a lot of heartbreak and like, yes, I'm going to cheer, I'm going to cheer. And but carry on.
Yeah. So I mean, fantasy brings a lot of heartbreak and pain, and this week was no different for me. So
of course,
here I am going to bed on a was it Monday night early? I went to sleep. Monday Night Football hadn't started yet. I was comfortably up by 33 points. The only player that the other guy had was my third stud on this list, and then I woke up to see a stat line. I saw 7 receptions for 25 yards. How much damage could you do in 25 yards? To then just see that he somehow caught 4 touchdowns. Somehow in 25 yards, he managed to go in the end zone 4 different times. And I woke up that morning to find out that I lost a game that I had in my hands. And you know what the worst about this time difference is that those games that you lose, those fantasy games, someone goes off in that Monday Night Football game when you're comfortably leading. It's okay because you can go to bed and you're sad and you hurt. When you have to start Monday morning or Tuesday morning with finding that out, it just ruins the rest of the day for you. It really hurts. So after that asshole caught 7 balls for 25 miserable yards and somehow found the end zone for 4 different times, I shouldn't have put him on the list, but I thought I had to. We're going to go with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, he almost scored in our one league. He almost scored as many points that you had as a team total. So that was pretty
all right, we can move on now.
Yeah, I won. I didn't even need him to do anything because I won by like 80 points in that league. But
good. That's good to hear.
I scored 172. It's pretty good.
That's cute. Yeah, like I said, no one cares about your fantasy team.
How did you do? I forget.
Okay, moving on. So let's talk about. I got on Travis Kelce for only having 25 yards, but somehow put up, 4 touchdowns. Let's talk about a guy who only had 3 catches
Mm.
and somehow managed to put up 171 yards and 2 touchdowns on 3 catches with an
Wait,
absurd, hold your breath, 57-yard per catch average.
that is
This is
nuts.
like that meme of Randy Moss's stat line, I guess, against the Jets, I think it was, or the Dolphins, where he had like 3 catches for 181 and 3 touchdowns. Like that's what you saw. And since you wanted to kick me while I'm down, how did your fantasy game go with him on the bench? So my number 2 stud, who comes
Hmm.
from the great school of UCF, go Knights go.
UCF alum.
We have Mr. Gabriel Davis, who you'll see on number 2 on the stud list and on Dakota's bench on his fantasy team.
It's true. He did. I should have started him. I lost my game because of that. I mean, I didn't lose as bad as you were, but
Thank you, brother.
um, yeah. So is this a studs list or is this like fantasy woes list? I'm kind of confused.
It's a little bit of both. This is why
Okay.
I'm a
I'm
great
curious who number
storyteller.
one is now. Probably
I'm a great
terrible for
storyteller.
us.
Weave in, greatness. So my number 1 stud, he was very, very involved in his team winning. Actually, had to be in an absolute shootout. They only won by 7 points.
Mm.
And now he did manage to put up 4 touchdowns, just like Travis Kelce did, and one more, 2 more than Gabriel Davis. Now I put him at the number 1 stud position because, as we talked about, Travis Kelce had 4 touchdowns, but only 25 yards. Gabriel Davis had 171 yards, but he only had 3 catches. So they kind of were like, boomer bust guys. They were great in those moments, but they didn't really pack the stat line.
Sure.
Now my number 1 stud is completely different. He was his entire team's offense in
Mm.
multiple facets of the game.
Mm.
He managed to run the ball for 9 carries, 112 yards for a 12.4 average, throwing 3 touchdowns.
It's not bad.
And you know what? You think that'd be enough, but this is where he's the number 1 stud because he was utilized in another way where he was also throwing the ball through 1 pass for 22 yards and another touchdown. So he matched Travis Kelce's touchdown mark and had quite the game. So we're going to go with the guy who was instrumental in his team winning, and I hope is more involved going forward. Taysom Hill is my number 1 stud this week.
Well, no, we don't hope he's more involved because then that would mean the Saints are winning games and the Eagles need them to
It's very,
lose.
you know what? True. You got me off. See, I've been all giddy about the Phillies and the Eagles. I forgot about the other things outside of that.
Yes,
You're right.
yes, yes.
I should
He
be a
scored
lot more
four
upset.
touchdowns. I didn't realize that. Damn.
He did 3 touchdowns rushing
Yeesh.
and a touchdown throwing. That's what I mean. Like, listen, Kelsey and Davis were great, but they were kind of like microwave great. It was short. It was exciting. Quick
Microwave
burst.
great.
Tyson Hill was
uh,
that slow, low cooking, just excellence. So Tyson
hmm.
Hill, number 1 stud this week.
All right. I like him. I like him. Nice little tight end receiver and a quarterback / running back.
You think I just look at the headlines and pick stuff out of my
Yeah,
butt?
that's what I figured.
I do the research.
Okay. Anyways, moving on to our too much whiz segment. Got 3 for you, Mr. Timothy. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Number 1, too much whiz. If the Giants continue to win games and maybe just miss the playoffs or maybe make the wild card, you can dub that as a successful season. So my question to you, too much whiz. Daniel Jones will be the Giants starting quarterback next year.
Oh, you know what? I will say not too much whiz. He probably is. I want to take one person as a great example. Another UCF legend who managed in a contract year, managed to go to the AFC Championship game after looking very mediocre the first couple of years.
He just
But
retired.
he took him far enough in the playoffs and he locked up a big deal after that. Daniel Jones has in his favor that he has a new coach. So they could always say that, he's great with Daboll. He needed Daboll. Joe Judge didn't know what he was doing. And to be fair, the Giants have been irrelevant for a long time. So, if they make the playoffs, why would you break up what they're doing? So he reminds me of Bortles, where we probably know he's not very good, but he's going to get hot in the right season. I mean, he's not going to be like Joe Flacco winning the Super Bowl in his contract year, but he's going to be good enough for a bad team. It was just like those Jaguars teams. They were horrendous, never knew what winning was. They saw a little glimpse of it, and they were like, let's keep this guy. So I'm going to say not too much.
All right. I do remember Joe Flacco after he won the Super Bowl and then got his big contract. The first thing he did was go to McDonald's drive-through. It's like, yep, that's the right way to spend your money off the rip.
Okay, why not?
Yeah. All right. Number 2, too much whiz. The Pittsburgh Steelers, as we talked about earlier, in a very rough season so far. They recently switched from Mitch Trubisky to Kenny Pickett, and even he's been like meh, but he's obviously not the problem. They have a lot of issues going on. So my question to you, too much whiz. If the Steelers finish with a top 3 draft pick, they will draft a quarterback. Keep in mind, Pickett was what, top 20 pick, I think, or 25th?
Well, the first
He was first
comparison
round.
the first comparison you think of is Josh Rosen when he was
Yeah.
top 10 pick, and then the next year they were first overall pick and took Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, top 3 pick, then that's assuming that Pickett's starting for the rest of the year. That's assuming Pickett just does terrible and can't win any games. But see, the Cardinals are a terrible organization. They're not used to success, and trading up to draft a guy in the top 10 and then replacing him the next year is what horrendous organizations do. The Steelers are not a horrendous organization. They're smart. They're patient. They've only had 3 coaches. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger there for 20 years. I'm going to say too much whiz. I don't see them taking a quarterback. I haven't done any draft research. I don't know who else would be there. I know that Stroud and Young will obviously be near the top of the leaderboard, but they're not that organization. They don't do stupid stuff like draft a quarterback in the first round and then draft another one the next year. So I'm going to say too much whiz on that one.
Okay. Now these previous ones I made you think pretty far out, past the season. This one I'm going to have you think just a little farther down the road here. Not quite as far, looking towards the winter. So I want you to get comfortable on your hot seat there. Point number 3. Too much whiz. The winner of the Eagles versus Cowboys game will go on to represent as one of the teams in the NFC Championship game.
Oh, I have the Eagles penciled into the NFC Championship game right now. So I'm going to say not too much whiz. I'm all for it. The NFC is so wide open. I think we've been saying for weeks now the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. It's wide open when somehow the Giants are a top 5 team in the NFC. But I think your best 2 teams right now are the Cowboys and Eagles. I think that's pretty. I don't even think it's really that close. So I would say not too much whiz. I could definitely see either of these teams in the NFC Championship game.
Okay, fair enough.
How crazy it would be if they played each other in the NFC Championship game.
Could you imagine? How much fun
there will be murders. There will be literally they're just you're yelling at me for encouraging Javonte Adams pushing someone over. Could you imagine being a Cowboys fan? Because there's cockroaches all over the world. There's Cowboys fans all over the world. If they show up to a Philly bar on an NFC Championship game, there'd be murders.
Someone would get put on a pike. It would
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But all right. So those are our too much whiz and studs and duds. Moving on, we do have our power rankings. So go back to this list here. Coming in at number 10, we have a couple newcomers to this list. Number 10, we have the New York Giants. Again, kind of like how I said, I didn't think we'd have the Eagles in the top 3. I didn't think that we would have the Giants even sniffing this list. But got to give them credit. They're 4-1, and they beat a potential Super Bowl contender in the Packers, so they deserve a spot. Speaking of the Packers, against Tim's best wishes, I do have them coming in at number 9. Tim likes to see them, pound it out, and was voting for the Jets to take their place, but I said too soon. So
what did the Packers do? What did the Packers
they have Aaron? They have Aaron Rodgers. That's all they need.
Did you see how bad he played?
Yeah, but he's still Aaron Rodgers. It's like
saying. Listen, I know 9:30 is a little early, but for me that was prime time over here in London, 2:00. See, I don't get the diluted Americanized coverage. This was pure England, unfiltered, unbiased football watching. And from what I saw, he stunk. This isn't like in America where it's Aaron Rodgers. He's awesome. No matter what he does, he's just awesome. No. He stinks.
Fair enough. Number 8, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Again, they've looked good against every team except for the Eagles. So does that mean that the Eagles are really that good, or did they just have a really off week? Who knows? But number 7, and we had a bit of a debate over this, but we do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in. They've they're hurt. They're starting to get healthy again. I mean, Mike Evans is always going to be a threat in the end zone. Tom Brady's always going to Tom Brady. So they're still in it. Just need to get healthy. Coming in number 6, another newcomer to the list, the Dallas Cowboys. As much as that pains us to say, I mean I was saying the Buccaneers had the best defense to start the season, but the Cowboys have a pretty damn good defense. And Micah Parsons, like I said earlier, should be in consideration for MVP votes. I mean, he just commands so much attention. He's such a force. He's always in the backfield. I love Devontae Smith, but I mean, if we had Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. Coming in number 5, we have the 49ers. They look like a strong team. They've had a bit of injuries too. They got a lot of injuries on defense right now, but again, similar to the Buccaneers, as they go on throughout the season, they'll start to get healthy again, and another team with a good defense. That's 3 teams we have in a row here showing defense can win championships because they're strong and they're winning their games. But
yeah, I mean,
Jimmy G doesn't
teams. Yeah, I think in the beginning they were a little slow. They had some bad losses.
Yeah,
but that was in the transition. Jimmy was going to need a couple games, but you know what Jimmy is. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. Number 4, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Continue to either blow leads or come back from them. So as soon as they get that defense figured out, they'll be a true contender. But they're definitely one of the hotter teams right now. And then same 3 from last week. We have Chiefs at number 3, Bills at number 2, and our Birds at number 1. Hopefully they stay there next week while we're doing this. But that is our top 10. So moving on to our picks. Man, I've been struggling on game picks lately. I don't know what's in the air. I've been under 500 like the last couple of weeks. It's not looking too good for me. Went 6-10 this week.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. That's Carolina Panthers kind of record right there.
Yeah. So
don't worry, I'll hold it down for us.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Of all the people to hold it down, let me Timo. As normal, we'll start off. We have a brutal Thursday game. Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. Who you liking?
I just want to first mention, I forget what it was. I think it was WIP. They were doing the bought advertisement, trying to hype up games. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you can't, how do you make this game sound sexy? It's the Bears versus the fucking Commanders.
Yeah,
this one's tough. I'm going to take the Commanders. I think Wentz will have a game because, they're a terrible team, the Bears are, and he's got so much pressure on him. His coach threw him under the bus. I think the Commanders pull this one out.
I agree with you. I feel like they almost have to win. Like the first week of the season, they looked like a pretty decent team, and they just kind of fall to the wayside here. I think Chicago's not good. Their defense is solid, but their offense is garbage. So we'll see how that goes. Then we got San Francisco at Atlanta. Falcons randomly traded Deion Jones to the Browns, which didn't really make any sense to me at all. That was their best defender player, but
that's a team that's on.
More power to you.
They're definitely rebuilding this year, and they stink. So why not?
Yeah, I'm tempted to take the Falcons because they've been competitive, but I'll stick with the 49ers here.
This isn't much of a thought. This is the 49ers.
Okay.
They're top 5 in our power rankings against the team that is literally giving up on their season by trading away players.
Fair enough. Moving on, we have the New England Patriots at the Cleveland Browns. Start of our 1:00 games, because San Francisco and Atlanta is the London game, which starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and for Tim that is 2 p.m. in London. But back on our 1:00s, huh?
There's no London game this week.
Yeah, San Fran at Atlanta is at 9:30 a.m. So that's got to be the London game, or maybe somewhere else. Maybe not London.
It's in Germany.
Well, it's overseas, the Europe game.
You sound like such an American. Oh, it's over there. It's just somewhere there.
Well, this is called professional, response. When you walked away from the mic, I had to keep the camera rolling, so.
Sorry.
Sorry myself. Anyways, Patriots at the Browns. Who you got?
Oh, I mean, the Patriots can't score. From what I've heard is that what's his face, Bailey Zapp, or I don't even know what his name is is going to play. Unless he's playing the Lions, I can't imagine he's going to score many points. So I'm going to take the Browns.
Okay. I was also going to take the Browns, so guess we're the same on that. Next game, we have the high-flying Jets at the sinking Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Packers. I think they got to get a dub. So
I would be the biggest hypocrite and biggest loser if after I specifically said I want to take the Packers out of the top 10 and put the Jets in. If I couldn't, if I didn't pick the Jets, I wouldn't even be able to look myself in the mirror anymore. Fair. So you know what? Let's do it. I'm going to lock in and say the Jets go and beat the Packers.
All righty. All right. I like it. Next game we got is the Jaguars at the Colts. Be like.
Oh, I mean, the Colts are a horrible football team. They really are. The Jaguars are not a good football team. The Colts are also the other team that was involved in the worst Thursday night football game I think ever, and that's saying something. I think the Jaguars win this one.
All right. I'm gonna take the Colts. I'm gonna take the Colts just to spite you. Get a different pick.
Fair enough. How's that going for you, by the way? What was 6-10 this
Terrible.
week?
Terrible, yeah. But keep things spicy, Gotta keep things spicy.
Yeah.
Next game we have Minnesota at Miami. And this is my pick, so I'm taking Tua's still not playing. Teddy should be back. Minnesota's got to lose again eventually. I'll take Miami.
Yeah, I mean, Tua's definitely out. I don't even know who's playing for the Dolphins. But hey, listen, the Dolphins gave up 40 points to the Jets. That defense didn't look great. So I'm gonna take the this one's actually a tight one. There's no way the Dolphins win this game without Tua. They need one more week, so I'll take the Vikings. All right. I was pretty confident about that, and I thought maybe, and then I was like, nah. Go back to what you know.
All right. Next game, we have the Bengals at the Saints.
That one's tough again. I think that the Bengals win this one, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to think about that. I'm taking the Bengals. They need to get hot. Okay. Their offense has been struggling. They've been averaging like 21 points a game. They need to get. I mean, the Saints defense is good, so it's not the best get right game, but they need to get right game. So.
See, there's so many middling, in the pack teams. Like the Saints and the Bengals are like the same team, in my opinion. They're just like that team that could beat everyone, but most likely will lose.
Well, this is the first week of buys, so this is when we start to learn about some of these teams for real. So, next game we have the Ravens at the Giants. I think the Giants kind of exposed here. Kind of like I think the Eagles are going to expose the Cowboys. So, I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely taking the Ravens. If the Giants win this game, I will fully 360 U-turn and admit that they're a good team, because I'm still in the belief. It's like even you have like a younger sibling or younger brother, and they're like doing stuff, and like, nah, they can't. That's like, my little brother or my little sister. I can't take them serious. The Giants, they stink. I can't take them serious. But if they win this game, I'll start taking them serious.
All right. Panthers at the Rams. Is there a lot of thinking here?
This is going to be a get right game for the Rams. It helps that they're getting a team that just fired their coach.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Rams. Arizona at Seattle. Cardinals, they've been in every game. They need a win. I'll take Cardinals.
You know what? I'm going to go with Seattle. The Cardinals did not impress me that much. Kyler doesn't know how to play football, and Geno Smith looks great. So let's spice it up. Let's go with the Seahawks. He doesn't know how to play football.
All right.
Maybe you should play more Madden instead of COD there, Kyler.
Yeah. Then we have the 4:00 game of the week and the Sunday night football game are both phenomenal matchups. We have Buffalo at Kansas City. So who are you liking in that one? Well, AFC rematch from the division game.
You know what? Yeah, it is a rematch. I'm going to say the Bills come out on top on this one.
Okay.
I think that the Chiefs have holes, but they've been able to get past it because they have other players to make up for it. I mean, Travis Kelce is the best red zone option in the NFL, but that also should highlight the fact that there's probably no one else there that scares you. But I think the Bills are deeper than the Chiefs, so I'll go with the Bills.
I don't disagree with anything you said, but it's in KC. Chiefs are gonna win this one. I think it'll be a good game though.
Oh, yeah.
Then we got Sunday night, Dallas at Philly. Do we even need to go over this? Go Birds, picking the
Go
Eagles.
Birds.
And then Monday night, Denver at LA. Who do you like in that one?
There's literally no way I'm taking Denver to win any game this year until I see Russell Wilson like throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns in a game. I'm not picking them to win a single game, so I'm going to go with LA.
Well, I need to catch up, so I'm going to take the Broncos in this one.
Did you see the Thursday night football? Were you listening to my Dudge spiel? Like, I know you're trying to make up wins, but are you really going to tie your post to the Broncos?
Russ has got to play well eventually. So,
does he? I mean, what have you seen that makes you think that's going to happen?
Don't worry about it. Anyways, we have Mr. Patterson Casey coming in with the guest picks this week. I don't know if we have a nickname for it, but he's the espresso martini connoisseur of carrying 2 at a time.
Until that's a sport.
It is, yeah. Round of applause for that. His picks for the week, he said Redskins, which is false there. The Commanders, but he has Washington, Eagles, Packers, 49ers, Ravens, Vikings, the Jags, Saints, Cardinals, Bucks, Rams. He's got the Chiefs and the Broncos as well. So he's feeling what I'm feeling. So,
I don't understand what you're feeling with the Broncos. They stink.
No. Well, yeah, it is what it is. So
see, he's got Russell on his fantasy team, and you picked the Broncos to be in the Super Bowl. You're both just clinging to hope that doesn't exist.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, and on a good note, Birds hopefully get that dub, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
And go Phillies, baby.
Go Phillies. All right. I'll catch you. Peace out.